Hi, so today I've just come back from Practical Board Repair School from another session, which means that I have a huge stack of boards waiting for me since I just got back that I need to fix. And the first one we're starting out with is an A1278 with no backlight. This comes from one of the many emails I get from people going, can you please just replace this one resistor? Can you please just replace the fuse? Why can't you just replace the fuse? Why are you making me pay you a full rate to replace a bunch of components when I know it's just one thing and this thing right next to it, and I get it in and like, I actually felt bad. Like, I actually felt like, man, why are you being an asshole? Why are you doing this? Why don't you just replace the one component that this guy wants you to replace? Why don't you just replace his fuse, which is right here, which is his fuse right here? That's the only thing wrong with this board. That and that is the only thing wrong with this board. Because all of this stuff right here, is just fucking fine, right? All this stuff over here is just great. That's a perfectly working diode. That's a perfectly working one-wire circuit. I'm confident that you actually have a green light on your charger on this piece of shit. And that's a great LCD connector. See, that doesn't got to be replaced. All you got to do is replace that fuse and the thing right next to it, right? See this? Oh, not a problem at all. Like, no fucking way. And again, like, I felt like an asshole. I honestly felt like an asshole just replying to this email, even though usually I don't. I'm not fazed by these things. And, solutions-based billing. Never fucking do what the customer tells you to do. Never. Because you know who's gonna get the flack? You know who's gonna get the flack when you replace that shit and this still don't work because of this and this and this and fucking this and this and when it doesn't charge because of this, oh my god, one wire circuit, hello? You know whose fault it is? Yours. Because you are supposed to know better. And you didn't. Now, one of the really cool things about these videos, I got my DPA 4065 back. I also finally got the Shure wireless body pack thing. So I got the BLX4R receiver there and the BLX1 transmitter over here. So this is something I've been waiting to do for a long time, but I could actually spin in my chair and go, whee! And there's no XLR cable. There is no XLR cable here to get strung around. So I can just do this in the middle of a video, and I'm probably going to start doing it in the middle of a ton of videos just because I can, and there's no tangle. I had the receiver here for the longest time, but I just never made the time to find the compatible transmitter. And this is amazing. It makes the video doing them a lot easier. And if doing them is easier, I'll do more of them. And there'll be more board repair videos. And if you're learning from this series, that's great for you. So let's get started on this pile of crap. One of the tricky things here is I'm going to have to find out where all those components are exactly because... Oh, shut up, HAKKO. I forgot one of my tips got ruined at class. Lovely. Yes, beautiful. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a donor board to grab all that stuff off of. But this is an 820-2879. So I probably don't have a donor board from which I can grab all that shit off of. And that's kind of why I felt like an asshole with this, because, you really shouldn't pay me to fix a board from 2010, boards from 2010 are worthless. But again, the important thing here, it does not take away from the work. I still have to do all this stuff, Like, just don't ask me to fix something from 2010. Like, I realize it's worthless. Trust me, I ain't trying to sell you a bridge. I'm not telling you that this is, this is a special limited edition motherboard. Like, I'm aware that it's a piece of crap. Core 2 Duo piece of shit from 5-6 years ago. Please don't ask me to fix it. And one of the micro probes for my multimeter also got... Boo. It's gone. All right. I really only need one, though. Think about it. Why do I need a micro probe for the... Wait. Is it gone? Yeah, it's gone. I don't really need a micro probe for ground. But I don't like things getting lost, Bah. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, well. Away from mess and back in my natural environment, which I can be thankful for. So, now, any of you people who watch my channel regularly should know what's up next. Am I going to go measuring each one of these individual components to see if they're bad? No, I don't got time to burn. We are going to take all this garbage off and replace it, because this has no place on a motherboard that somebody's paying me to fix. So what do we say to all these components? We say goodbye. You? All this stuff. I mean, just not even looking it up. So these are the backlight enable resistors. By the way, if you think all I have to do is replace the fuse, which no longer exists, over here, and keep in mind, see this over here, see this? Backlight enable resistors. No way in fuck would this turn on, even if the LCD connector was good, even if that cap somehow wasn't shorting to ground, even if I replaced the fuse, no way in hell is that going to turn on, because 3 volts ain't going to the enable pin to turn it on. And you can see in some of these videos where I'm talking about the backlight enable pin and the importance of it. What BKLEN resistors are. Anyway. Just enough. Enough of this, just replace this component shit. Don't try to fucking trick me. Nice try. Ugh. It's not even people trying to trick me. It's like, it's just hopefulness. It's people that are trying to trick themselves. My tip also got bent. Oh well. I can always buy another one. I've been thinking that it's actually about time to hire an intern. One of the main reasons I've kind of been put off to hiring an intern is It's an expectations kind of thing. See, a lot of the people that come here asking for that type of thing, they think that in 1 week that they are pretty much going to know everything there is that they need to know, and that they're going to move on and start their own company. Because I'll ask, and people actually often have the honesty to tell me. And you know, I don't want to be a part of that. Obviously, you know, for me, because if you're going to quit in a week, what God's name or a month, then what the hell is the point for me? But also, I mean, for you. So you think in a week that you're going to accomplish this, which means, you know, again, you can become a beginner in a week, but if you think like this, all this stuff is just going to be kind of magically absorbed in a week, and that you'll be as good, that's kind of going to be a disappointment. And I don't really like being a part of disappointment. One of the funny things is one of the students from the Practical Board Repair School actually started his own practical. Started his own Practical Board Repair School. And like that's not the kicker. The kicker is that it actually costs $600 more than ours. And it's like, I get competing teaching something else. I understand competing by being cheaper. I do not understand competing by teaching the same thing that we're teaching for more money when you literally got out of a class teaching you how to do this a week ago. Or like a few weeks ago. But shit's funny like that. I don't know. We live in a funny world. Here's hoping that's ground or no stuff. One way to find out, right? So I'm going to go over to the board view software and try and figure out if that thing is a no stuff. What I mean by no stuff is that there's nothing supposed to be there. Not only is it not no stuff, that's actually one of the most important things there is, which is the backlight switch trace. Nah. Let's see. Is that switch or feedback? Yeah, that's going to be feedback. Oh. Yeah, that's important. I got to save that. Okay. Oh my God, I am so glad I never quoted this a dime less than regular board repair. Not a dime. See what we're doing here? We're going to make a pad. So the pad itself is kind of missing, but you can scratch away and get to what the pad's stuck to, which is that copper crap. Let me clean it off a little. Put some flux. Amtech 559 is a dream. And then after the Amtech 559, a little bit of solder, get the solder actually rubbed in the flux, so that when I put the iron on there, the flux is not only on the board, it's even on the solder. Do that. And what do you know? Oh, look, I have a solder pad. See that? I have a beautiful new solder pad. Let's do the same thing with that middle one. So we're going to go to where that middle one is that looks really messed up, and we're going to fix it the same way. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hot air station to get rid of any of the flux that dried over there, because if there's dry flux on top of it, I won't be able to scratch away at what it is I'm looking to scratch away at. I've kind of already put solder on there, so I've a little semi-sabotaged myself. See this? This is what I'm looking to fix. Now, if I'm lucky, I can kind of scratch away over here. going to make something. That's all going to get washed away in some solder and Amtech 559. That's a lot of solder. Now it's time to just kind of start putting stuff back on. Look at that one wire circuit. Yeah. Replace one resistor and one fuse, right? Replace one resistor, one fuse. And this will never come back for warranty because it doesn't work on the charger, right? It won't be your fault that you asked me. It'll be mine, right? No, no, no. Solutions-based billing. And I get comments and I get messages on this channel where people are saying things like, you know, we're not watching this channel to listen to you talk about why you like your billing practice or why you like your specific way of doing business. And I do not care if you're not interested in hearing it. I'm going to talk about it anyway. Because I find it to be very important. And these are real repairs that people are asking me to do. And I'm here to tell you why a lot of the things people ask me to do are wrong. It is 100% relevant because people are going to ask you to do this stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, oh, it's wrong that they ask you, you know, it's wrong that they ask you to do this, but I'm not going to say why. I'm going to sit here under a microscope and show you exactly why I think the way I think. Because if I cannot show you why I think the way I think, if I can't provide you with some basic evidence, some basic proof, even if it's not, you know, the type of proof that, you know, I'm showing you specific 100% concrete evidence at the time, at the very least I'm going to leave you with something that you can use just to see that I'm not talking out of my ass. Anyway. So this is what I usually do. I just kind of take an area that's affected and I fire all of its components and just replace them with new ones. Made a bit of a mess, but that's easily cleaned up. And you'll see in the end what this looks like. All these vias are just destroyed. I'm hoping I can just get it filled with solder so that it'll go to the other side. Ugh. Okay. Of course, the other enable resistor has already been stolen. I'll grab that off of another motherboard shortly. Was that it? Yeah, that was it. Too high. Ah, you didn't see that. I'm sorry about that. Let's find another junker Core 2 Duo to steal from. Here, clunker. Here's a... Okay, we're not taking from this one. Oh. Make sure it's flat on the board. That's important. Make sure the donors you're stealing off of don't actually look worse than the board that you're fixing. That's a big part of this. A lot of my donor boards look for the really old crap that I don't necessarily regularly stock. The donor looks worse than the board that I'm stealing. I mean, than the board that I'm fixing. So I'm just carefully picking through these to find boards that have good-looking components. Some look better than others. This other work here has absolutely nothing to do with the backlight circuit, but since they're paying the board repair rate, I'm going to fix the problem that they are going to have in a month after I send this back to them, which is no green light in the charger. Look up what U6901 does on an 820-20-879 board if you'd like to see, or check my channel's videos on the one-wire circuit, of which there are many. This is a little bit of preventative maintenance right here. Come on. I want a little nice solder blob to go into that hole. So that 3.42 volts comes from the other side of the board to here. This is all just so nasty. Just want to get rid of all that just general nastiness residue. Everything here is nasty. Any of the vias that look corroded, I'm actually filling with solder so that I know that there's something that's helping continuity inside it to the other side. I disobeyed a really important rule there. You know, remember my rule? Which is to not move the wick with the solder not touching it? That's because that was touching such a huge ground plane that I couldn't break it if I tried. This is Goot wick. Gootwick. Very good stuff. If you have problems wicking when doing any type of BGA rework or even just general soldering and you're noticing that it's harder than it should be compared to what you see in my videos, it's very likely that you're using a really crappy wick and that wick is not Goot wick. Goot wick. Wick. Find it. It will change your life. It's good stuff. If you're using the stuff that says just desolder wick or solder wick and blue on it, that stuff is garbage. It will frustrate you and make your life harder and more miserable. That's what we're looking to avoid. Yes, that is a napkin from the burger place. Troll away. So I cleaned it with alcohol, I dried it, and now I'm just putting more flux on. Why? Because you don't want to work with dirty old flux. Look at this. I'm wheeling my way over to the bin of connectors. I'm wheeling my way over, but I'm not getting caught on an XLR microphone cable. So, man, this is amazing. I feel that was $139 that was well spent. That wasn't everything. That was just the transmitter. But still, I already had the receiver and I had paid for it, so that cost in my mind was kind of... I was prepared for it being gone. This is the older boards where they don't have the little indent... They have the little holes in the board, but the connector doesn't have the holes on it. Why is beyond me. Just Apple making things hard. Alright, so we're going to slide it into there. And once it's slid into there, make sure it's aligned right. Then I can push, then I can solder the other side while pushing down. Then I'm going to go back to that side and push it down. Alrighty. Now we push down. Push down is because, again, having the connector close to the board is what's going to make the difference between this being an easy job and a nightmare. See how there's some give? Oh, you probably can't. I looked on the TV and I couldn't see it there, but for some reason I see it with my eyes. The connector, you want those pins to be actually pushing on the board. That's ideal. Whoops. All right, got a little on the top that I shouldn't have, but I can remove that later. As long as I don't get it inside the connector, I'm kind of good. I'm happy with myself. There. So it should look like that, not this. So that's how an idiot does it. That's how me not being an idiot does it. All right, so now we can go through and do the pins. This solder is too thick to go pin by pin. You see what I did? I didn't tin the pins and then start soldering because that results in a connector that's sitting up from the board, and it makes it inherently kind of less durable. What I did here, make a durable connector, is I made sure that the pads were perfectly flat. Now that the pads are perfectly flat, I solder the connector on one end, then I solder it on the other, then I push down on the connector while resoldering it on each side to make sure that that is pushed as hard as possible onto a nice flat board. And that makes drag soldering a lot easier. So you can't really do any type of drag soldering where you do something like this if the connections are not perfectly flat in the board. But you can if it is perfectly flat. So we're going to do some of that right now, because after a week of teaching, I'm noticing that my hands are not really allowing me to do any kind of individual joint nice soldering. See? I can't get it like I usually can. It's not doing it. So I'm just gonna, whatever, I'll just be a piece of shit. See, what you should be able to do is something like this. Let me just give it one last try on a proper approach. So you have the board sitting like this, and you do this, and you do something like this. Not happening. What I'm going to do now, you see the difference between when it is getting soldered right and not? To see if I have my iron up like this, if the iron is up off of the table like so, and I'm just touching the pads, I get nothing. See these pads? See how these were not flowed and how these were? See how this is flowed and this is not? Just get rid of all that blue stuff. Stop being blue. I guess not much I can do. You see how these are flowed? These are not. That's the difference between having curvy tip with the iron on the pins or the iron on the pads. You want the iron to be kind of in between the two, but resting on the pads, because the solder is going to follow the heat. And if you're heating the pins, the solder will heat the pins. But if you have it on the pads, then the solder will follow the pads. Very simple. And how people who suck at soldering, who have really bad hands, can easily do this if you just use a little bit of brains. Let's see if how many people notice that I bent pin 2 or 3 and troll in the comments. That's what you're not supposed to do in dragging. See, that's something I did because I just suck. You don't want to copy the things that I'm bad at. Camera used to auto adjust better. It seems really dark. I think when I zoom out, and then really? Still dark as hell. Oh, well. Now, to make sure that you didn't fuck anything up, go back and hit every pin. You don't move, you don't move, you don't move, you don't move, you don't move. You're supposed to be shorted. Those two pins are both for backlights, so shorting them together is 100% okay. Pushing each one, and it's good. So now all I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and touch up some areas and obviously put my one-wire circuit component on that's missing from that corner for those of you that are paying full attention. And a little bit of touching up here and there can't hurt. Some nice leaded solder from some Kester. Means some Amtech 559. There are so many reasons that this could not have a backlight. It's after I'm done with how much was fucked up originally. There we go. Give me auto adjust. Finally gave me some light. See, why couldn't you do that before? You Anyway, what are you gonna do? Technology. You know what would be really funny? And I shouldn't even say this out loud because I'm gonna fucking curse myself if I say it. What if this didn't actually turn on? Like, what if the guy stated no backlight? Like, what if he stated no backlight as the problem, but what if this pile of shit actually does not turn on? I mean, really, which is totally something that could happen with a board that looks like this. There's, like, when your board is this corroded and 5 years old, I mean, I didn't turn it on to begin with, you know, because that's my first test. Like, before I start doing anything, what I do is I turn it on to make sure that this, at one point, actually was a functioning motherboard. I'll put that capacitor on straight later. Who am I kidding? My OCD won't allow that. I mean, because if I go to turn this on and it's dead, that's just going to be a laugh riot. Cause, oh man, that used to happen all the fucking time with those with the no backlight coupon thing. So people would go, like, why don't you have the no backlight rate anymore? You know how many boards I got that were actually no backlight from the only no backlight from the no backlight coupon? Like one, if even. 0 ohm short to ground on PP bus G3 hot. 0 ohm short to ground on PP3V42. Dead CPU. I mean, that was the ultimate troll. The no backlight coupon has got to be the worst idea that I've ever had. Like, where your motherboard repair would be less money if it was just no backlight. And I don't listen to Steve. He tells me these things. Lewis, how is a consumer going to know if it's no backlight or dead? Because he sees no backlight. He's going to think that means that, oh, I don't have a light in my screen, so I can use this coupon. Which is correct. I mean, you have to set up your policies for what end consumers are going to think when they see them. I was not thinking. Steve, on the other hand, is always thinking. I think he's always thinking because he's the one who usually has to clean up these messes and talk to the people. And explain to them how a 0 ohm short on 5 different power rails is not something covered under the no backlight coupon. God damn capacitor. Wait, my air is on way too high. That's why I think he was blowing away. All right, so I say there's about a 30% chance that I didn't miss something. I'd say, honest, 30% chance that when I turn this thing on, it has a backlight. What do you guys think? Probably less than 30, you're saying? Yeah, me too. I would say there's a 50% chance this doesn't even beep with no RAM in it. So let's see. We got the board. We have a speaker. Look at this. I'm stretching over from there to here, and there's no XLR cable that I have to worry about following. If there's no cable in here for me to test the screen, I can just walk over into the next room and get a test cable without having to unplug the microphone. I mean, this is the lab of luxury right here. I enjoy having a wireless microphone. I should have entered the 20th century a long time ago. XLR cable. What kind of stubborn fuck am I? Wait. You guys see this screen? You think this is gonna work? Oh, you're trying to... No. Nice try. This one looks slightly better. Let's use this for testing. Okay, we plug our cable in. There's a lot of flux that I have to clean off. Obviously. We get RAM, a speaker, a DCN board, a screen, and let's see what we have here. And there are so many things that could be wrong with this, because my approach in the beginning when dealing with a mess, it's not to start measuring around, it's just to get all that stuff off and just start from scratch. Hey, I didn't bring a fan. Hilarious. Half a dong. Yep. Yep. Test it before you plug it in. Okay, we got a fan. Let's unplug the screen for a moment here. This is dead. Ha ha ha. What if we put the RAM in the other slot? And this fan doesn't spin. I'm curious to see if after the half dong, if the speaker turns off. So the fan spins. and then it cuts off right as it dongs. Interesting. Yeah, just the backlight, right? Just the fucking backlight, right? Because that stuff by the SMC is optional. You gotta be. Why? Why? Why do people do this? Another old day of crushing people's hopes and dreams. Never mind me. You really have to kind of find fun in crushing people's hopes and dreams if you're going to succeed at this. And it's not because we're going out of our way to be mean assholes. It's just, people have these really, really improper expectations of what to expect. And these really large hopes that are not based in reality. And you just gotta just bring them back to reality. And but the only way to bring them back to reality is by taking those hopes and dreams and just shattering them. Let's just start with some hopeful flux heating of this corroded, nasty area. Okay, let's get the HAKKO heated up. I would not be surprised at all if under the SMC there was corrosion. Alrighty. Here we go. So it's actually hot. Let's get all that corrosion out from under the SMC. Because you see how I saw that it moved? Reflow with that Amtech, baby. And get sucked up into the air filter because I'm not breathing that shit. Alrighty. Now, let's get to the subject of those resistors. You think I'm opening up the schematic to see what those are when they look like this? GTFO, bitch. hell? You got to go. You got to go. I don't even care that you look good. You're next to the rest of this that looks like that. You got to go, mofo. All right. You got to go. So... turn the air filter up higher. It's starting to smell more like flux. It shouldn't smell at all like flux. And same strategy here for regaining our pads. These are what interconnect lines that go to the SMC, those probe points. So if those probe points look screwed up, it means that information that's supposed to be getting to the SMC may not be. I'm not going to look up what it is, but I'm just going to assume that it was important. And fix what those probe points look like. All right, now we're going to blow away excess flux. So I can actually see what I'm doing. And now we're going to take off the junk. I mean, we already took off the junk. Now we're going to put on the good. Yeah, so put on the good. Nice try. The proper solution here would be for this person to go on eBay and spend money on a board that already works. This is not really viable. I'm just kind of doing a video to make the point out to you. Okay, so we're going to go back and see if we still get the half dong instead of a nice long dong, as Sonny would like to say. So when you plug it in and you turn it on, the ideal thing to get is a nice long dong. So we plug the RAM in. Would help if I plugged it in the right way. Here we go. We plug the speaker, the fan. Speaker to hear what type of dong we get, and the screen. Really should clean up all that flux, but I know that I'm probably not even close to done with this pile of shit, so. Now, when I short the pads to turn it on, it turns on. So before it was turning on sometimes, not others. And we still get half a dong. So this is going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I'm going to come back to it later. I'm going to guess that since there was that much corrosion on it that didn't make itself obvious, that part of the problem here is that there's corrosion under some place that I can't see, and that the proper thing to do to fix it would be to get rid of that corrosion, come back, and see what's going on with it. But so far, hopefully you get my point that, again, when it comes to customer estimates, just say no. Just say no. All right, so we're coming back to this board. Today is, well, tomorrow, so I decided to go home and get myself some sleep so that I could come back to this board later. And what I found out is that I did not have an LED driver on the board. I had a TPS 51125, which is not an LED driver, which is why this wasn't working. When I actually put an LED driver on the board, I no longer get half dong. So let's just show you a little bit of what this looks like, show you a little bit of the rework so that you can have an idea of what I did. So you remember what this looked like before, right? A complete corroded pile of shit. Well, now it looks like a slightly less corroded pile of shit. So here is the board after all the rework. So that's a new U6901. I filled up that via so that the charger would work. It actually does go through and have good continuity to the other side of the board now for the one-wire circuit. That is a new LCD connector. That area that you see that looks like it is two shorted pins together, that area is actually supposed to be. So that's the 2 pins for backlight output. As you can see here, I went over a lot of the corroded vias. So that's backlight enable resistors, again corroded, went over it. This is capacitor for the 5 volts going to the LED driver. I went over that. I scratched away a lot of the corrosion on the pads for the U9701 chip, the LED driver, the LP8545SQ. So you could see what the joints look like around that. Some of it's a little corroded and fucked up to the point where I may have destroyed pads, so I did my best with what I had available. So as I said, I didn't keep most of this area. I actually threw away most of this area and just replaced because, again, when something looks like complete crap, that's what you do. That looks like the original fuse. It's not. I took it from a donor board. No, the original fuse is long fucking gone. It didn't even come with this motherboard. Also touched up to U6995 area, so PP3V42 was working on this board. How is beyond me because the actual chip, the legs on the bottom of the chip were totally orange, red, that nasty, rusty, corroded-looking crap. So we got rid of that. The keyboard connector was disgusting. Oh, what are you? See, I just found you. See, this is this corroded crap. So that's actually a surprise. So let's go back and figure out what that is and if that's important because I'm pretty sure I'll need that. So let's see. So this is keyboard connector. I did what I could here. The keyboard connector had a bunch of 1 pins that were just totally corroded. You could probably guess which ones they were. Probably wind up giving him a new lever because that lever doesn't look so great. You can actually replace the lever without replacing the keyboard connector. That keyboard connector came off of, you can guess it, another board. So let's see what this is over here. Well, first things first, I know when you guys see that, you're probably going to think this thing doesn't actually work. So that's what I'm referring to. I did try it, actually, before queuing up this video. So let's see if it actually works. So before, obviously, no backlight. That is without question. But also we had half a dong. Now we have a full dong. Oh, also, I forgot to show you the SMC area. Because that area I also cleaned up. Again, the half dong was not because of the SMC. It was because I'm a fucking idiot that put an LP80... I put a TPS 50125 where an LP8545 should go. But this is the SMC area that was nasty and corroded. These are all the replaced components around it. And as you can see... the SMC did get a reflow because I saw a lot of corrosion in that area, but the ultrasonic cleaner does a good job. It doesn't look like a nasty-ass reflow job was done here. So back to my point, which is that to show that this works. So I'm going to put the speaker here. Got the DC in board. I have a screen. I have a stick of RAM. And what you're going to hear here is a nice long dong. Sonny's favorite. I can never use a torque screwdriver to turn the board on. Everybody can do that but me. It makes me so sad. All right, let's just use tweezers. So we use tweezers, and it turns on with a nice long dong. But yeah, what are those other components? Oh, by the way, keep in mind, this is the board that somebody sent me saying, I want you to replace the backlight fuse and a resistor next to it. Backlight fuse and a resistor that is next to it. That's all it needs. 'Cause I know everything and Lewis don't know shit. That motherfucker trying to rip me off. Yep, that's all you need. All right, so let's look for that component. So it's this. So Q5315, R5315, and R5316. So let's look in that area and see what all that stuff's for. Oh, what do you know? P-bus voltage sense enable. Now, what do you think the chances are, just having watched this channel for a while and knowing what P-bus voltage sense is and knowing what the VP0R sensor is, what do you think the chances are that this board would run slow off the battery if I gave it back just replacing what the customer asked? What do you think the chances are? Pretty fucking high. If you don't know what I'm talking about with sensor issues, what I'd like you to do is watch the video on Apple and Spite. If I remember, I will come back and I will put that in the annotations. I most likely won't remember because, who am I kidding? By the time Time Warner is done uploading this video, I will probably forget that I made it. So, let's turn on the rework equipment and get started. So the problem lies here. Again, I just do not do what people ask. And again, it's so often said that, I talk like this and I have these ideas because I don't have respect for my customers. And that is the biggest bunch of crap. I respect my customers enough to get them back something that works. If I disrespected my customers, I would allow them to trick me into giving them things back that don't work. But I have respect for my customers. I want to hand them back things that work. I don't care if that means that they may not always like me. I don't give a shit if you like me. I don't care now, and I never have, and I never will. What I care is that what I do works, and that in the end, that you are happy. How happy would somebody be in this situation if you did what they asked and it didn't work? Not happy at all. This comes back to something that I learned a really long time ago, and actually in music. So, there was somebody talking about studios and pricing, and he was talking to me about what people are willing to pay, and what you charge, and what you think you're going to be offering for service. By the way, notice how all those pads that you would have probably said were missing, if you're new or haven't been watching the channel for a while, just kind of magically reappeared. So what happened is, he said, so what do you think a bad recording is worth to a musician? Or what do you think a recording that they don't like? What do you think it's worth when they listen to music that they were given on a recording, and that they say, I don't like this. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like my performance. And I thought about it for a while, and I kept trying to put a dollar value to it. And the gentleman that I was interning for said, it's worth nothing. See, you may think that the crappier recording is worth maybe, $10 an hour versus $40 an hour, or $10 an hour versus $70 an hour. But what the crappier recording is actually worth is nothing. It has no worth. It's garbage. So if you do something that isn't that great to be cheaper, what you'll notice is that it's not even that it's worth less. It's not even that somebody should have lesser expectations. It's that it's worthless. It's completely fucking worthless. If I give this back to somebody and it don't work all the way, that's not going to be like, yo, you just told me to replace a couple of components and we agreed to $50. That's going to be cool, right? No, they're not going to want to pay the $50 because you know what? That's $50 more than what your work is worth. When you do stuff that doesn't work, it is worthless. Absolutely worthless. When you make a recording that sounds like cock and balls, when you do not understand how to get a good performance out of the artist that you're working with, that recording that you made is not worth, a little bit less than the person who knew what they were doing. It's not even worth a lot less than the people who knew what they were doing. That recording is worthless. Completely worthless. Not even worth the $8 an hour you asked them for. Not even worth the, I'll record your band if you just buy us beer. It's not even going to be worth the beer. These little things that barely have legs are a pain in the ass. Yes. Those two are supposed to be shorted together. Pay attention to the board view, the schematic, and also this is what it looks like. It's obvious. So don't troll and say, look, those two resistors are shorted. It's a voltage divider. They're supposed to be. Get everything nice and floated into place, and we're good to go. It works. Yeah, just the backlight. If you're opening a board repair business, do not put up a coupon for discount if it is only the backlight. You will waste a lot of fucking time.